The day I got promoted to senior architect at one of the biggest firms in Chicago, my mother cried, but not because she was proud. I'm Daniel Reeves, 32 years old, and I've spent the last decade clawing my way out of the hole I dug in my early 20s. I was the family disaster. The kid who dropped out of college twice, who couldn't hold a job, who lived in my parents' basement until I was 24, drowning in depression and video games. I was the cautionary tale, the one my younger siblings were warned not to become. And honestly, my family loved me most during those years. They just didn't realize it until I stopped being that person. Let me take you back to who I used to be. 22, I was a mess. I'd enrolled in computer science at State University with big dreams, failed out after one semester because I stopped going to classes, spent a year working at Best Buy, then tried community college. That lasted 3 months. I moved back home with my parents in the suburbs, and for 2 years I basically existed in their basement. I played League of Legends 16 hours a day, ordered DoorDash with money I didn't have, and avoided eye contact with everyone. My family rallied around me during that time. My mom would bring me meals on a tray, knock softly on my door, ask how I was feeling. My dad would sit on the edge of my bed and tell me stories about his own struggles when he was young, how he'd figured it out eventually. My sister Emma would text me memes and ask if I wanted to watch movies with her. My younger brother Tyler looked up to me in this weird way, like I was brave for being so openly broken. They had purpose with me. I was their project, their mission. Every small thing I did, taking a shower, leaving the house, applying for a job, was celebrated like a major victory. When I finally got a job as a night clerk at a 7-Eleven, my mom threw me a congratulations on your new beginning dinner with a cake and everything. I remember my dad tearing up, saying, "We're so proud of you, son. This is just the start." The thing is, I was miserable. I knew I was capable of more, but I was stuck in this cycle of depression and anxiety that felt impossible to break. The only thing that finally changed was hitting absolute rock bottom at 24. I had a panic attack so severe that I ended up in the ER, convinced I was dying. The doctor told me I was having an anxiety attack and recommended therapy. That was my turning point. I started seeing Dr. Martinez twice a week. I got on medication. I began actually dealing with the trauma I'd been avoiding. Being bullied relentlessly in high school, my learning disability that no one had diagnosed until I was 23, the perfectionism that made me quit anything I wasn't immediately good at. Slowly, painfully, I got better. I enrolled in online courses for web development. I discovered I was actually good at it, really good. I got a junior developer position at a small startup. I moved into a tiny studio apartment. I started going to the gym. I made friends. I began dating. And here's where things got weird. The better I got, the less interested my family became. At first, I thought I was imagining it. When I got my first apartment, my mom's response was, "Oh, that's nice, honey. Are you sure you can afford it? You know your room here is always available." There was no celebration dinner, no cake, just concern and a reminder that I could always come back. When I landed a better job at a medium-sized tech company with actual benefits and a real salary, my dad said, "That's great, Danny. Just don't burn yourself out. Remember, money isn't everything." Then he launched into a story about his cousin who worked too much and had a heart attack at 50. When I showed them pictures from a hiking trip I'd taken with friends, Emma barely looked up from her phone. "Cool. Hey, do you remember that time you couldn't leave the house for a week?" That was wild. I started to notice a pattern. Every conversation eventually circled back to who I used to be. Every family dinner included at least one story about Daniel's rough years, or when Danny was struggling. It was like they were stuck in 2018, and I was the only one who'd moved forward. The worst part? When I tried to share my achievements, I was met with worry instead of pride. When I told them I was training for a half marathon, my mom said, "Don't you think that's a bit much? You used to have such trouble with physical activity. I'd hate to see you hurt yourself." When I mentioned I was taking a Spanish class, Tyler said, "Man, remember when you couldn't even finish one semester of college? How are you going to stick with this?" They meant it lovingly, I think, but it felt like they didn't want me to succeed. Or worse, like they didn't believe I could. The real breaking point came last month. I'd been working at Riverside Architecture and Design for 3 years, consistently exceeding expectations, leading major projects. When my boss called me into her office and offered me the senior architect position, a huge promotion with a massive raise, I was ecstatic. This was everything I'd worked toward. Proof that I'd not just recovered, but thrived. I called my mom immediately from the parking lot, practically shouting into the phone. "Mom, I got promoted. Senior architect. I'm going to be leading the entire downtown redevelopment project." There was a long pause. Then, "Oh, Danny, that sounds like a lot of pressure. Are you sure you're ready for that kind of responsibility?" My excitement deflated like a popped balloon. "Mom, I've been working toward this for years. I'm ready. I just worry about you," she said, her voice taking on that careful, concerned tone I'd heard so much during my basement years. "You know how you can get when you're stressed. Remember how you fell apart in college? I'd hate to see that happen again." "That was almost a decade ago," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm not that person anymore." "Of course not, honey. I just think you should be careful. Maybe talk to Dr. Martinez about whether this is a good idea." I sat in my car, staring at the dashboard, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. This should have been one of the happiest moments of my life, and my own mother was suggesting I turn it down. That weekend was the big family dinner. We did one every month at my parents' house. Everyone would be there: Mom, Dad, Emma and her husband Josh, Tyler and his girlfriend Becca. I decided I'd announce my promotion properly, in person. Maybe my mom just needed time to process it. Maybe seeing everyone celebrate together would help her understand how big this was. I should have known better. Dinner started normally enough. Mom made her famous pot roast. We all sat around the big dining table I'd eaten at 1,000 times growing up. Tyler was talking about his job in marketing. Emma was complaining about her toddler's sleep schedule. Normal family stuff. Finally, during a lull in conversation, I cleared my throat. "Hey, everyone. I have some big news to share." All eyes turned to me. I felt my heart racing, but I pushed through. I got promoted at work. Senior architect. It's a huge step up, and I'll be leading some really important projects. For a moment, there was silence. Then my dad said, "Well, that's something. How are you feeling about it?" Not "congratulations." Not "we're proud of you." How are you feeling about it? Like I just told him I had a tumor. "I'm excited," I said, looking around the table. "It's what I've been working toward." Emma exchanged a look with Josh. "Just make sure you're not taking on too much, Danny. You have a tendency to overcommit and then crash." "That was years ago," I said, hearing the defensiveness in my voice. "I mean, sure, but patterns are patterns," Tyler chimed in. "Remember when you tried to go back to school that second time? You were super confident then too." I felt my face getting hot. That was completely different. I was undiagnosed and unmedicated. I've been stable for almost 8 years now. "Stable is good," my mom said, reaching over to pat my hand. "Let's keep you that way. Maybe this promotion is too much too soon." I pulled my hand back. "Too soon? Mom, I'm 32 years old. I've been at this company for 3 years. This isn't impulsive. This is career progression." "No need to get defensive, son," my dad said in his calm, rational voice that always made me feel like I was being unreasonable. "We're just concerned. We've seen what happens when you push yourself too hard." When I was 22, I practically shouted, "I am not that person anymore." The table went quiet. Everyone was looking at me like I was proving their point. Like raising my voice meant I was unstable, unable to handle stress. Becca, Tyler's girlfriend who barely knew me, said softly, "It's really great that your family cares so much about your well-being, Daniel." I wanted to scream. Instead, I stood up. "You know what? I thought you'd be happy for me. I thought after everything I've been through, after all the work I've put in to get better, you'd see this as the success it is. But you can't, can you? You can't see me as anything other than the failure I used to be." "Danny, that's not fair," Emma said. "We love you. You love the version of me that needed you," I shot back. "The version that gave you purpose." But now that I'm actually succeeding, actually building something, you don't know what to do with me. I grabbed my jacket and left. I could hear my mother crying behind me, my dad calling my name, but I just kept walking to my car. I drove around for hours, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. I kept replaying the dinner in my mind. Their words, their looks, the complete absence of pride or joy. Just concern, just worry, just subtle suggestions that I wasn't capable, that I was one stressful day away from falling apart. When I finally got home, I had 7 missed calls from my mom and a string of texts from various family members. Most of them said some variation of, "You overreacted," or "We're just worried about you," or "You need to apologize to mom." But there was one text that caught my attention. It was from Emma, sent about an hour after I'd left. "Can we talk? Just you and me." Called her. She answered immediately. "Danny, I need to tell you something, and you're probably going to hate me for it." "What is it?" She took a deep breath. "Last week, Mom called me. She was upset because you told her about your promotion. She wanted to have a family meeting about it, without you. She wanted us all to talk about whether we thought you could handle it, whether we should do an intervention." My blood ran cold. An intervention? For what? Being successful. That's what I said. Emma's voice cracked. "Danny, I told her it was insane, that you've been doing amazing for years, that she needed to let go of who you were and see who you are. But she just kept saying, 'He seems manic. This feels like before. I can't watch him fall apart again.' I'm not manic," I said quietly. "I'm happy. There's a difference. I know that. Tyler knows that. Even Dad knows that, I think. But he's so used to going along with Mom that he can't break the pattern. Danny, the truth is..." She paused. "The truth is that when you were struggling, Mom had a purpose. She was needed. She got to be the good mother, the one who never gave up on her troubled son. All her friends told her how wonderful she was for being so supportive. She got sympathy and admiration. So what? My mental health crisis was good for her image? Not consciously. I don't think she realizes she's doing it. But yeah, kind of. And now that you're thriving, she doesn't get to be the hero of your story anymore. You are. And I think that terrifies her because she doesn't know who she is if she's not the mother who saves her struggling son." I felt sick. What about everyone else? Why does the whole family act like I'm one bad day away from a breakdown? "Because that's the story we all learned," Emma said. "For years, every family gathering centered around you. How you were doing, what we could do to help. Walking on eggshells so we didn't stress you out. We all built our roles around your crisis. Tyler got to be the understanding brother. I got to be the supportive sister. Dad got to be the patient father. When you got better, we all lost our scripts." "That's insane," I whispered. "I know, and I'm sorry. I should have seen it sooner. I should have said something." She paused. "Danny, you need to know, when you left tonight after Mom stopped crying," she said something. She said, "See? He can't handle any criticism. This is exactly what I was worried about. She's rewriting what happened to fit her narrative." "Of course she is." I laughed bitterly. "What do I do, Emma?" "I don't know. But I'm on your side, and I'm going to start calling this out when I see it. You deserve better than this." After we hung up, I sat on my couch, staring at the wall. My phone kept buzzing with messages, but I ignored them all. Instead, I opened my laptop and started going through old photos and memories, trying to understand when this had all gone wrong. I found an old Facebook post from 6 years ago, me announcing that I'd gotten my first developer job. My mom's comment, "So proud of you, baby. Just remember to take care of yourself. We're here if you need us." Even then, the praise came with a caveat, a reminder that I was fragile. I found text messages from 3 years ago when I told Tyler I was dating someone. His response, "That's awesome, man. Just don't move too fast." Remember what happened with Sarah. Sarah was a girl I dated for 2 months when I was 23, during my worst period. It had ended badly because I was in no state to be in a relationship. Every achievement, every positive step forward, was always tainted with a reference to my past, a warning, a reminder not to get too confident. I thought they were being protective. Now I realized they were keeping me in a box labeled fragile, handle with care, and maybe subconsciously they wanted me to stay in that box because they didn't know how to relate to me outside of it. The next day, I did something I'd been avoiding. I scheduled an emergency session with Dr. Martinez and told her everything. "Daniel," she said after I'd finished, "this is actually something I've been wanting to bring up for a while. Have you noticed that you often minimize your achievements when talking about your family?" I frowned. "What do you mean?" "In our sessions, you're confident and proud of what you've accomplished. But when you talk about telling your family about something good, your language changes. You say things like, 'I mentioned the promotion,' instead of, 'I excitedly told them.' You brace for disappointment before it even happens." She was right. I'd been unconsciously protecting myself from their lack of enthusiasm by downplaying my own excitement. "There's a term for what you're experiencing," Dr. Martinez continued. "It's called the identified patient phenomenon. In family systems therapy, sometimes families unconsciously assign one member the role of the problem. That person's dysfunction becomes the glue that holds the family together, gives everyone else their roles and purpose. When the identified patient gets better, it destabilizes the entire family system. So what do? You set boundaries. You stop accepting their narrative about who you are. And you accept that they might not be capable of celebrating your success. Not because there's anything wrong with you, but because your success threatens the family dynamics they've built." That conversation changed everything. I realized I'd been waiting for my family's approval, their validation. Like I was still that desperate 22-year-old needing someone to tell me I was okay. But I didn't need that anymore. I knew I was okay. Better than okay. I sent a group text to my family. "I need some space. I'm not angry, but I need time to think about some things. Please respect that." My mom called immediately. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. "Danny, please don't shut us out. We love you. We're just worried. Please call me back so we can talk about this." Even then, even after everything, it was about her worry, her need to talk. Not about my feelings or my accomplishments. I didn't call back. Instead, I spent the next 2 weeks focusing on myself. I started my new position and absolutely crushed it. My first project meeting had the CEO personally complimenting my vision. I went out with my actual friends, people who'd known me during my recovery and had cheered every step forward. They threw me a surprise promotion party, complete with a banner that said, "Senior Architect Danny," and everyone sharing stories about how much I'd grown and achieved. That's when it hit me. I had people in my life who celebrated my success, who weren't afraid of my happiness, who didn't need me to be broken to love me. My family wasn't those people. And that hurt, but it was also freeing to accept. About 3 weeks after the dinner, Emma showed up at my apartment unannounced. I almost didn't let her in, but she looked genuinely distressed. "I need to show you something," she said, pulling out her phone. "Last night was another family dinner. You weren't there, obviously. And Mom, Danny, you need to see this." She showed me a video she'd secretly recorded. The family was sitting around the dinner table, and my mom was crying again. "I don't understand why Danny is being so cruel," she was saying. "After everything we've done for him, all the support we gave him during his worst times. And this is how he repays us. By cutting us off." Tyler, surprisingly, spoke up. "Mom, maybe he has a point. We didn't exactly celebrate his promotion. We were being realistic," my mom snapped. "Someone has to keep him grounded. Someone has to remember what happened last time he got overconfident." "Last time was 10 years ago," Emma said in the video. "He's not that person anymore. People don't change that much." My grandmother, who I hadn't even known was there, chimed in. "He's always been sensitive, unstable. He'll probably quit this new job in a few months when it gets too hard." I felt like I'd been slapped. My grandmother, who I'd barely spoken to during my recovery, had opinions about my stability. The video continued. My dad, who'd been mostly quiet, finally said, "Maybe we should consider that Danny's right. Maybe we have been treating him like he's still fragile." "Don't you start," my mom said sharply. You know what he's like. One wrong move and he'll spiral again. It's our job to protect him from himself. By not believing in him? Emma challenged. By treating every success like it's a warning sign? You don't understand, my mom said, her voice breaking. You didn't see him at his worst. You didn't watch him nearly destroy himself. I did. I was there. And I will not watch it happen again. The video ended. Emma looked at me with sad eyes. Danny, she's not going to change. This is about her trauma from watching you struggle. She's stuck in that time period, and she can't see you as you are now. Does she even want to? I asked quietly. I don't think so, Emma admitted. Because if she accepts that you're okay, that you've been okay for years, then she has to confront that she missed it. That she's been holding you back instead of supporting you. And that's too painful for her to face. I sat down heavily on my couch. What about everyone else? Tyler's starting to get it. He texted me after saying he felt like an idiot for not seeing how we've been treating you. Dad wants to talk to you, but he's scared. He knows Mom will see it as a betrayal if he takes your side. She paused. And Grandma, honestly, forget Grandma. She's always been judgmental. What are you going to do? I asked. I'm done, Emma said firmly. I'm done going along with this. I'm done letting Mom rewrite history and treat you like you're perpetually on the verge of collapse. You're my brother, and I'm proud of you. I should have told you that at dinner. I should have shut down everyone's concerns and said, "This is amazing, Danny. Congratulations." So I'm saying it now. Your promotion is incredible. You earned it. And I'm sorry it took me so long to see what was really going on. I hugged her, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like someone in my family actually saw me. Over the next month, things slowly shifted. Tyler reached out and apologized, saying he'd been an idiot who was too caught up in old patterns. We started having lunch once a week, just the two of us, and he never once mentioned my past or expressed concern about my stability. He just asked about my projects, my life, my interests. He treated me like the adult I was. My dad sent me a long email. He apologized for not standing up for me, for letting his fear of conflict with my mom override his support for me. He said he'd started therapy himself to work on being more assertive and breaking codependent patterns. He asked if we could grab coffee sometime, no pressure. We met the following weekend. It was awkward at first, but then he said something that meant everything. I'm proud of you, Danny, not just for getting better, but for who you've become. You're successful, stable, happy. And I'm sorry I made you feel like those things were threats instead of triumphs. My mom, though, she doubled down. She sent me cards in the mail about the importance of family and forgiveness. She left voicemails reminding me that family is forever and that I was breaking her heart. She told relatives I was going through a phase and would come around eventually. She never once apologized. She never acknowledged that her behavior was the problem. In her mind, I was the one being unreasonable, ungrateful, and, worst of all, proving her right by acting out. The final straw came when I heard from a cousin that my mom had been telling people at church that I'd had another breakdown, and that she was praying for my recovery. She was literally making up a relapse that hadn't happened to maintain her narrative. I sent her one last message. Mom, I need you to hear this. I am not broken. I am not fragile. I am not on the verge of falling apart. I am a successful, healthy adult who has worked incredibly hard to build a good life. The fact that you can't accept that says everything about you and nothing about me. I love you, but I can't have a relationship with someone who needs me to fail in order to feel needed. If you ever want to have an actual relationship with me, the real me, not the struggling version you're comfortable with, I'm here. But I'm done pretending to be less than I am to make you feel better. She didn't respond. Instead, she called Emma crying, asking why I was attacking her, why I was being so cruel. Emma, to her credit, said, Mom, Danny's not being cruel. He's being honest. And until you can see him for who he is instead of who he was, you're going to lose him. That was 3 months ago. My mom and I haven't spoken since. It hurts, but it's also been liberating. I've stopped waiting for her approval. I've stopped shrinking myself to fit their narrative. I've stopped apologizing for being successful. My latest project, the downtown redevelopment I'm leading, just won a regional architecture award. When I got the news, I called Tyler first. He screamed into the phone with excitement and insisted on taking me out to celebrate. Emma posted about it on social media with a caption about how proud she was of her brilliant big brother. My dad sent me a card with a handwritten note. "You did it, and you didn't need us to believe in you to do it. That's real strength." My friends threw another party. My colleagues congratulated me. My boss gave me a bonus and told me I was being considered for partner track. My mom sent nothing. But I heard through Emma that when someone at church asked about me, she said, "Oh, Daniel? He's doing well. He got some award for his work." It's wonderful, but I do worry about the stress levels. Still, even with everything, she couldn't just be proud. She had to add the worry, the concern, the subtle implication that my success was somehow dangerous. I used to think that was love. Now I know it's control disguised as care. I'm 33 now. It's been a year since that disastrous family dinner. I've started dating someone amazing, Lauren, a teacher who thinks my ambition is attractive rather than concerning. We're taking it slow, but it's healthy and good, and she celebrates my wins without questioning whether I can handle them. I've been in therapy consistently, not because I'm falling apart, but because I'm committed to my mental health. Dr. Martinez says I've done something incredibly difficult. I've separated my self-worth from my family's perception of me. Sometimes I miss my mom. I miss the version of our relationship that existed when I was struggling, when her care felt pure and uncomplicated. But I also know that version only worked because I was small, because I needed her, because my brokenness gave her purpose. I'm not small anymore, and I don't need to be broken to deserve love. Tyler asked me last week if I thought Mom would ever come around. I told him the truth. I don't know, but I can't wait around hoping she will. I have a life to live, and it's a damn good one. He nodded and said, "For what it's worth, watching you set these boundaries has helped me too. I've started pushing back when she tries to control my life. It's like you gave me permission to exist outside her narrative." That made me realize something. By refusing to be the family's identified patient anymore, I didn't just free myself. I started freeing everyone else too. Last month, I bought a house. Not an apartment, a whole house with a yard and everything. When I told Emma, she cried happy tears and asked when she could visit. When I told Tyler, he said it was about damn time and offered to help me move. My dad came over to help me pick out furniture and spent the whole day just being present, being supportive, being proud. None of them expressed concern about whether I could handle the mortgage. None of them warned me about taking on too much. None of them reminded me of who I used to be. They just celebrated who I am. I didn't tell my mom. I found out later that Emma mentioned it in passing during a phone call, and my mom's response was, "A house? That's a huge financial commitment. I hope he knows what he's doing." Even secondhand, the lack of faith stung. But it also confirmed what I'd known for a while. She's not going to change. And that's okay. I don't need her to. Because here's what I've learned. Some people can only love the version of you that needs them. The version that's struggling, uncertain, dependent. The moment you become strong, successful, and self-sufficient, they don't know how to relate to you anymore. And instead of adjusting, instead of growing with you, they'll try to shrink you back down to a size they can manage. You can't light yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Not even if that someone is family. Not even if that someone is your mother. I have people in my life now who love me at my best, not just at my worst. Who cheer for my successes without waiting for me to fail. Who see my strength as something to admire, not something to fear. And maybe someday my mom will be able to see me clearly. Maybe she'll do the work to understand why she needs me to be broken. Maybe she'll realize that her anxiety about my well-being has become the thing that's actually hurting me. Or maybe she won't. Either way, I'm not waiting around to find out. I'm too busy building the life I was always capable of living, surrounded by people who believed I could do it all along. My family only loved the version of me that failed. But I've learned to love the version of me that succeeded. And in the end, that's the only love that really matters.